Hello and welcome everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you, our guests, to our 6th annual virtual reception titled Shared Visions. I'm Terry Candelario Oates, Artist Co-op member and instructor. I greet you with hello and not a good afternoon because I believe that the silver lining of an online show is that friends and relatives and patrons from all different time zones all over the world might be tuning in. Now, just so you know, all guests will be muted during the presentation. If you have questions during the program, please put them in the chat and we will address them at the end of the show. For optimum viewing on Zoom, we recommend that you use side-by-side speaker view. At this moment, we would like to honor the memory of our loving and beloved friend and fellow co-op member, Joan Greenwald. Joan was an inspiration to us all during her nearly 15 years as a member, and we will all miss her creative spirit and unique view of the world. The format for today's reception is as follows. After a few brief introductions, our program will begin with a 15-minute video presenting all of the paintings in the Shared Vision exhibit. Following that, each of the artists will speak briefly about their work. All art is available for sale with artist information on the website. Artist contact information will also be posted at the end of this program. And now I'm pleased to introduce and congratulate our newest co-op member, Susie Yancey, in her inaugural co-op exhibit. Go, Susie. The Shared Vision exhibit opened on the website of the San Fernando Valley Arts and Cultural Center on July 1st at 11 a.m. and continues through August 31st. After August 31st, this show, as well as recordings of our previous 5 online shows, can be viewed in their entirety on the SFVA-CC website under Archived Exhibits. And finally, I'm happy to introduce co-op artist and SFVA-CC treasurer, Pat Bates, to talk about the San Fernando Valley Arts and Cultural Center. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pat Bates speaking on behalf of the San Fernando Valley Arts and Cultural Center. We're honored to host the 6th annual Artists Co-op 7 virtual exhibit. Apologies for a few little glitchy things with Zoom. It does sometimes seem to have a mind of its own, but we will move forward. At this point, I'd like to introduce Jean Hahn, Artists Co-op 7 Art Panel and Managing Director, who will say a few words about our curator, Helen Kim.
Hi, I'm Jean Hahn, Managing Director of Artists Co-op 7, Art Panel Director and Teaching Team Supervisor. Thank you for coming today. I would like to start by thanking our curator, Helen Kim, for creating this wonderful Shared Visions exhibition. Helen began curating Co-op 7's distinctive group art exhibitions many years ago. The group appreciates that she continues to curate Co-op 7's exceptional shows today. Helen says, my focus has been the same since the first time I curated our group's exhibitions. I strive to present the best of each artist by creating individualized showcases within the larger group exhibition. The vision is always to highlight each artist's work in a way that strengthens and supports the flow and impact of the show of fellow artists in a shared space. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the Artists Co-op 7 virtual Shared Visions exhibition of 72 original paintings and drawings. The slideshow runs about 16 minutes. Let's dive right in and discover our shared visions. Wow. Am I on? Yeah. That was great. Thank you. I'm delighted now to welcome you to the Artist Spotlight Talks portion of the show. It's my pleasure to introduce the 12 Featured Artists Talk series. Each artist will be spotlighted alongside the images of their 6 featured paintings and tell about their work in the show. The first one up is Jay Asher speaking for his wife, Rosemary Altschuler.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the exhibit. What a stunning exhibit it is, too. The first painting, Fabulous Flowers, Rosemary wrote, "I love colors, and this first painting is illustrative of that." Second painting, she was exploring transparency with bottles. The third painting, birds are among my favorite subjects to paint, and I included a background texture using salt on a green surface. I will just add, this is my personal favorite of my wife's work. Number 4, I saw a painting using lace, and it inspired me to use a paper doily as a stencil. The next painting is a docked boat that she painted with a watery technique on the surface. And finally, she took a class with a teacher using abstract techniques, and she decided to give it a go. It's now my pleasure to present to you the very talented Pat Bates.
Well, hi, I'm Pat Bates, wearing my artist hat. Perhaps I shouldn't read the news before making artwork. While the arc of the moral universe is long and bends towards justice, it's also sometimes taking a detour. An autogolpe is literally a self-coup where a legitimately elected leader uses his position to seize total control, eliminating constitutional restraints. In our United States today, critical agencies have been destroyed by a chainsaw-wielding fool, and farm workers are chased down and disappeared by armed and masked thugs. Courts are ignored and defied. My reaction to this is horror. But there is hope. An autogolpe delayed can become an autogolpe denied. Our work awaits, and art is a part of it. Thank you for being here for our show. Next, I am pleased to, and I need to push a key here. Next, I am pleased to introduce my friend and very talented colleague, Adria Becker.
Well, thank you, Pat. As Pat said, I'm Adria Becker, a multimedia artist and teacher from Los Angeles. I work with oil paint and oil stick, ink, and watercolor, and the pieces in this exhibit are collage on wood panel, incorporating acrylic paint and paper cut and torn from magazines, old books, sheet music, and anything else I can glue down. Drawing from a live model, I take the moment of intimacy to share laughter, sadness, bliss, hope, experience, and energy in a single expression and convey it to the viewer. Now, allow me to introduce Rita Borofsky.
Welcome to our exhibit. My name is Rita Borofsky. I have been a member of Artist Co-op 7 for 15 years, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to develop my painting skills. I have been creating paintings using shapes, lines, values, and colors. Painting number 1, titled Array of Apples, is 4 still life arrangements of shapes and an apple. It was a challenge to keep the shapes and colors in balance and flow. Painting number 2, titled Red Song, is a close-up of red hibiscuses and their ruffled leaves. Notice the interaction of the fluted shapes. Painting number 3 is titled Nasturtiums. Notice the interweaving vines and flowers surrounded by white and black contrasting values. Painting number 4, titled Blue Heaven, shows rich blue irises. The purple inner petals unfurl, allowing the small bits of yellow to peek out. Dewdrops attach to the petals like mirrors. Painting number 5, titled Blended Trees, shows the interplay of trees transparently overlapping the plants behind them. The blue of the sky is repeated in the trees. Finally, painting number 6, titled Sun and Shade, shows the interplay of shadow and sunlight on the petals and leaves of a pink hibiscus bush. The delicate white line pattern was drawn with a thin pointed white pen. I enjoyed sharing my paintings with you almost as much as I enjoyed creating them. Let me introduce you to the next very experienced artist, Abira Brascal.
Thank you, Rita. I'm Abira Brascal, and thank you for coming this afternoon. I'm showing some of my recent mixed media and collage figure drawings. These were drawn virtually from live models. I like capturing the figure quickly and letting some surprise, drama, or mystery sneak in. Now I'd like to introduce Selena Chang.
I am sorry. Thank you, Abira. I'm happy today to be here as part of the 6th annual Co-op 7 online shows. And I want to thank SVACC for hosting the show. Being a member of the Co-op 7 has been a very rewarding experience for me. I learned to grow as an artist and also paint with this wonderful group of artists all year long. The 6 paintings in the show are all watercolor landscape that explore the memory of the 4 seasons. You're starting with a spring scene in a field of wildflowers on the top left, and followed by 2 summer scenes, sunset at the beach and wave breaking on the shore. And below on the second row are 2 autumn sceneries. They're spot in the Eastern Sierra, where I call the Backpackers Haven on one, where hikers and backpackers gather for rest. Then further up in the Sierra is a beautiful view of the Back Mountain in majestic purple colors. Lastly is a lovely snowfield with round boulders covered by snow that looks like snow muffins. I enjoy capturing these fond memories. I hope you enjoy viewing them as well. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Jean Hahn, our fearless leader.
Thank you, Selena, for sharing your beautiful watercolors. Hi, I'm Jean Hahn, Managing Director of Artist Co-op 7, Art Panel Director, and Teaching Team Supervisor. Thank you again for coming today and seeing our show. I'm presenting a group of my recent figure collages of various sizes, selected by our longtime co-op exhibit curator and my dear friend, Helen Kim. Ellen curated today's exhibit, Shared Visions. I am sure you've been enjoying Ellen's artistic insights. Previously, I believed art was a waltz, performed in sync with nature. Now I believe art is a tango, a dance of opposites, enthusiastically interacting with each other, a process of applying and of taking away. The figures, colors, and shapes represented in my collages are examples of harmonious spatial interaction of line and shape with graphic space. The 6 collages were created remotely with simple supplies at hand. The live model was an essential ingredient in developing my work. As an artist, I am constantly musing unknown realities, attempting to resolve mysteries, giving forms to natural inclinations. I prefer to create through the enlightened emotions of joy, gratitude, love, bliss, optimism, trust. Drawing is a primal urge, a journey of discovery, a subliminal adventure into a surprising new world. My work in this exhibition, my works, are created from live models, a subject I continually explore and experience together with other co-op artists. I find satisfaction in the spontaneous emotional activity of creating the visual melodies of expression. The artist is the instrument. Nature's energy goes in and is interpreted through the artist's mind and body. My explorations embody many different approaches. What will happen? Good question. It just happens by bringing my body and soul into harmony. See the magic. It is my pleasure now to introduce our next featured artist, Francie Kaplan.
Thank you, Jean. My name's Francie Kaplan. I'm always inspired by Jean, who was my very first watercolor teacher at the Artist Co-op 7. I've been painting with the group for nearly 20 years, and I continue to be drawn to watercolor and collage for their happy surprises and how it sets me free. In the first piece called Chez Nous, I've incorporated watercolor and collage, really celebrating the joy of patterns. This home comes alive using contrasting patterns such as dots and stripes and flowers. In the next painting, Cityscape, this one brings to life childhood memories for me of growing up near downtown Detroit. Fascinated by tall buildings and the often empty streets, I use charcoal to activate the space and give this piece a sense of the grittiness of the city. In Pied à Terre, I play with the range of different blues on my palette. Maybe you can tell that it's my favorite color. Here I am evoking a memory from a recent trip with my husband to Bordeaux, France, and combining a Matisse-like style where still life plays against the outside as a key role. In Garden Delight, I was experimenting with abstraction and playing with color, bringing to life the gorgeous bearded irises that bloom in my garden in the springtime. And in Land of the Silver Birch, I was playing with lights and darks, inspired by the trees in Northern Ontario where I went to sleepaway camp as a child. I used ink and stick to draw the composition, which gives it a really loose feel. And finally, in Horsing Around Mammoth, I'm playing with the abstraction of things that I love about being in the mountains with my family. Here, I created the composition by overlapping and combining two different drawings, one of a horse and one of a favorite hiking trail. I used many different textures to integrate the piece, which almost creates a collage kind of feeling, although this is all watercolor. Next, I'd like to introduce you to a very playful artist, Lauren Leibowitz.
Thank you, Francie. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy that you could join us today. I'd love to share a little bit about my creative process with you. For me, it's not about a step-by-step procedure of how to do these things. It's all about allowing the right brain to take the lead and the left brain to play a supporting role. So when I sit down and begin to create a piece, I see a story begin to emerge. Sometimes it's unplanned, sometimes it's a little subtle, and then sometimes it's boom, this magic happens on the page, and it makes me so happy to be in that flow of creativity. I try to quiet that persistent voice in my head that says, you know, Lauren, that's not what a nose looks like. But I have tricked my brain to actually see what is there instead of to see what I expect to see on the page. And over time, these paintings begin to take on a life of their own and create an image beyond what I could even ever imagine. So if one of these paintings speak to you, I invite you to take it home. As was said earlier in the show, all of the paintings in the show are available for purchase, so your support will help the story continue. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce the very talented Debbie Saunders.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Lauren, for the introduction. I am Debbie Saunders, and thank you all for coming. I've been painting and creating artwork my entire life, being part of Artist Co-op 7 for over 30 years. If I had to label myself, I'd say I'm a mixed media artist. Over the years, I have explored pretty much every medium. However, I'm always willing to try a new medium or a new technique. After all, you don't know if you're going to fall in love with something if you don't give it a try. So as you can see from the works chosen for this show, there are different techniques and different mediums. The arrays of mediums I have on this show are acrylic, used in still unreal life, sorry. And then watercolor and ink used in Dark Jungle and Jugs 1 and Jugs 2. Pastel over watercolor as in Pastel Roses, and oil on watercolor, gessoed watercolor paper used in Dandelions. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoy my work. Now I have the pleasure of introducing our newest member, Susie Yan C.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Susie Yancy. I approach watercolor as a language of feeling, creating work that translate my emotional experience of the natural world. Though I began painting seriously in retirement, I have been drawn to creative expression throughout my life. My process involves careful observation, imagination, and intuition, guided by the belief that a painting is completed when I can feel its emotions resonating back to me. As you could see my painting number 1 here in the shade, how often do you go on a hike and feel wonderful standing in the shade and look up, there is the sun. The second painting, security guard on patrol. After breakfast one morning, walking back to the parking lot with my friends, and the patrol went by. So that struck me as how wonderful it is. It's like a mirror on the wall. And the third painting, Golden Vase. Gold is my favorite color. And so I just put some vase and jugs together, and that's my feeling and emotion shown in this painting. And color is pretty much still life. I threw some vegetable plants and together, and just I had a great time. Let the color express my feeling during that time. A new day is wonderful for us to live so close to the ocean. Every time I hike, I see the water. I see the emotion that is talking to me early in the morning, late in the afternoon. So this was one of my reflections of what happened that day. And then early afternoon, occasionally, we have a chance to go out and have lunch by the beach. So this is one of the early afternoon painting I capture. So they are all watercolor. So thank you for coming. And it is my pleasure to introduce our next lovely artist, teacher, Denise Pereira.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming, first of all. All the pieces of mine in the show today are portraits in mixed media and collage. As you can see in the first piece, which I call Retrace, there are a lot of layers of color and shapes. I started with a previously done watercolor painting, and on top of that, I glued a piece of tissue paper that had gold flecks in it. And when that was all dry, I drew the portrait on top with pastel crayons. Some of you are familiar with these Caran d'Ache pastels. And I enhanced the shapes that ended up being around the figure with more color. The next piece, Lady in Green, was done in a similar way with an old watercolor painting, one that I wasn't particularly pleased with. And I had this stack of tissue paper that was all different colors, and it got wet at some point. So the colors all blended together and kind of made these sort of tie-dye effects on the papers. I've been fascinated with that paper. I glued it on top of an old watercolor, and then I drew the portrait on top with pastel and colored pencil. A lot of happy accidents happen in this process. So for example, here, there was a dark stain on the green tissue paper, and it just so happened to outline the back of this woman's head and neck. So that dark area there was already in the paper. Developing this collage and drawing technique over several months, I found that the roughness of watercolor paper, as I drew over it with the pastels, added a lot of texture. And then with the underlayer of paint underneath it, it brought out really unexpected color and shapes that created kind of an evocative space. And my intention is to try to capture a realistic portrait. And in this process, I'm fascinated with how the face kind of emerges as it interacts with the environment that's been created with the different layers of the watercolor painting and the papers. I've gotten quite addicted to working in this way. So in Second Thoughts, which is the third one on the right, the woman, there's actually no watercolor underneath. It's just a very interesting sheet of tissue paper with a lot of color in it that to me had a lot of mystery and moodiness to it. So that reflects in the image of the woman. Most of the tissue paper that I'm working with is dark. And then when I'm putting it on top of another layer underneath, I'm starting out with quite a dark piece of paper in front of me. So using the different pastels, it's almost like I'm carving out the image out of that dark, building up the lights. Instead of adding dark, I'm building up the image using different kind of light colors, all different colors. And the one on the lower left, you can really see that. And although, and again, in this one, there was kind of a happy accident because I placed this young man's face to the left, and then these kind of pinkish bubble images to me seem like almost like haunting thought bubbles that are, emerging from his intense look. The one in the middle, the bottom, that I call Zach in the Sky, this fellow's name is Zach, is really a more traditional collage. I'm starting out on white paper and combined with drawing. And in this case, I used an ink pen. It's called a Tombow, which is water soluble. So you can get sharp lines, and then if you wet it, you can get a softer kind of watercolor technique. So that's that piece. The last one I call Look is a mounted sheet of the tie-dyed tissues, and with that close-up face, the tissue itself, just the color that was already on the tissue kind of, to me, is kind of a very evocative, kind of rugged landscape of this woman's mind. So that's what I see in these pieces, and I hope you enjoy them. Now I'd like to turn things over to Jean Hahn again, who will introduce the next section of our event, which is a musical performance.
Thank you, Denise, and to each of the featured artists for sharing your very admirable artistic abilities in our Artists Co-op 7 Shared Visions exhibit. And now, in celebration of our exhibit, we are pleased to present a musical performance by Kelsey Hahn and Dylan Gentile. Kelsey, soprano, and her husband Dylan, bass, currently sing with the widely recognized Los Angeles Master Chorale under the direction of Grant Gershon and the Los Angeles Philharmonic under Maestro Gustavo Dudamel. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kelsey Hahn.
And I'm Dylan Gentile.
Thank you so much for inviting us to participate in today's art exhibit. We're so happy to be here. The first song we'd like to perform for you is Moonfall from the musical The Mystery of Edwin Drood, music by Rupert Holmes.
Between the very dead of night and day, upon a stately sheet of light I'll lay, and in the moonfall I'll give myself to you. I'll bathe in moonfall and dress myself in dew. Before the cloak of night reveals the morn, time holds its dream while it conceals the dawn, and in the moonfall all sound is frozen still, yet warm against me. Your skin will warm the chill of moonfall. I feel its fingers lingers, the veil of night shade, light made from stars that all too soon fall, moonfall that pours from you. Betwixt our hearts let nothing intervene. Between our eyes the only sight I've seen is lustrous moonfall as it blinds my view, so that soon I only see but
And the next song we'd like to perform for you is Songbird by Eva Cassidy.
for you there'll be no crying. For you the sun will be shining, 'cause I feel that when I'm with you it's alright. I know it's right. singing like they know the score. And I love you, I love you, I love you like never before. To you, I would give the world. To you, I'd never be cold, 'cause I feel that when I'm with you, it's all right. I know it's right. And the songbird keeps singing like they know the score. And I love you, I love you, I love you like never before. Like never before. Like never before.
Hi, you remember I'm Jean Hahn, Managing Director of Artists Co-op 7. I've held this position since 1995. I'd like to thank the talented Kelsey Hahn and her husband Dylan Gentile for sharing a beautiful music chilling performance with us today. The music she brings us is always much appreciated. I'd like to thank you, our guests, for joining us today for the Co-op's 6th annual virtual reception, Shared Visions. We appreciate your support and participation. I hope you've enjoyed the show. We're grateful to our 12 featured artists, and especially to Co-op artist Patricia Bates, San Fernando Valley Arts and Cultural Center treasurer, who put together the virtual exhibition presentation, as well as to Susan Spector, San Fernando Valley Arts and Cultural president, and the entire SFVACC board and staff for creating our beautiful website exhibition and our 11-year affiliation. Thank you to our Zoom Tech Committee, Co-op artists Pat Bates, Margaret Burnett, Terry Candelario Oates, and Denise Yarfitz-Pierre, who skillfully contributed to the virtual reception behind the scenes production. A special thank you to our longtime Co-op exhibit curator, Helen Kim, for once again creating another quality Co-op exhibit. The Co-op artists are known for their spirit of fun, caring, and cooperation. Art can engage and enrich us. Art can challenge our assumptions, and art can broaden our horizons. Thank you to our loyal members and participants for your continued support. It is your participation that sustains our longevity and our longstanding belief in cooperation. I especially want to thank our exceptional teaching team of 8 Co-op 7 artists who never tire of learning and teaching others. Next slide, please. Welcome to the world of our Artists Co-op 7. We are a group of over 50 artists who support the artistic and spiritual growth of each individual member. After 30 years of in-person exhibits, we never imagined that we would be working together on Zoom. Yet our doing so enables artists from all over the region and indeed the world to participate in the co-op today. Next slide, please. Co-op's founding members and teachers were students of the late Dr. Alexander Willemsens. Alex, a multifaceted personality, was a master in the fields he pursued, an accomplished award-winning artist, gifted architectural designer, founder and director of Artist Co-op 7 and his Growth Art Institute, psychologist and pioneer in art therapy. As a professor at UCLA, UC Santa Cruz, UC Sun, and Every Woman's Village, Alex inspired a large following. He encouraged his students to spontaneously explore and express their inner resources to achieve personal fulfillment and potential. Dr. Willemsen's artistic principles and process of discovery became the basis of the co-op's philosophy, the process of being, doing, and becoming. Slide, please. Our group's objective is to continually strive to create and maintain an environment where each individual can experience and develop their unique creativity through classroom study programs, workshops, demonstrations, retreats, field trips, and varied exhibition opportunities arranged by the co-op. As you can see by the diversity in this collage created by our curator, Helen Kim, from one painting by each member at that time, we do not seek a unity of expression, but rather a diversity of creative ideas, distinguished by the integration of color and form with both power and sensitivity in a variety of media and subjects. Next slide, please. This collage image by Helen Kim simply expresses our joy in our artistic community and serves as a powerful symbol to the enduring strength of the bonds we form in Artist Co-op 7 life. Final slide. And that does it for our show today. Thank you for viewing the Shared Visions exhibit. We hope that your thoughts and memories of this art will convey encouragement and inspiration. Remember, you can revisit the entire Shared Visions exhibit, the Zoom reception, artist bios, and contacts at the center website, www.fsvacc.org. We will post the web address in the chat. If an artwork speaks to you, I invite you to take it home. Most every artwork in the show is available for purchase, and showing in your home helps the story continue. The exhibit slide will run again now in case you missed it. Join us again next time. Wishing you a pleasant evening. Thank you.